The other day, last week, Sayadaw was explaining on the word Sansara Vata Dukkha Mochana. And Sayadaw was explaining what is called Samsara, what is Vata, and what is Dukkha. And explain, combining with the theory and practice. So this was taught by the Buddha. Buddha gave the way to be free from the suffering for those who do not like suffering, who are seeking for happiness and well-being. So Buddha did not mean to discourage people by showing or by mentioning the suffering. But some people are mistaken that because Buddha taught things as impermanent suffering and non-self, they think that Buddha's teachings are discouraging, making people to be depressed and discouraged. So what they are complaining about the Buddha's teaching have no ground, and they are not well versed, but just by seeing the words impermanent suffering and non-self, they are criticizing the teaching of the Buddha. So they are thinking that it is discouraging to be taught this way. But actually, Buddha does not mean at all to suppress or discourage people by mentioning the suffering. What Buddha meant was, because of such and such causes, there will be suffering as consequences of the such and such causes, and so on. So for the beings who do not like to have suffering, but who are seeking for happiness and well-being, Buddha was just showing how these beings can get well-being and happiness. Only if one is free from suffering, she will get well-being and happiness. So Buddha taught how these sufferings could be overcome. So Buddha taught ways to abandon suffering, ways to get rid of the suffering, and the way to dispel or keep away the suffering. So by abandoning the bad things, these bad things will come to an end. By dispelling bad things, one will become devoid of bad things, and thus there will only be happiness and well-being. So Buddha gave way how to free oneself from these suffering, and Buddha gave way how to struggle oneself out of the suffering. So among these methods, doing wholesomeness, doing wholesome deeds is the way or the method in order to be free from suffering. So wholesome deeds consist of all kinds of wholesomeness, from simple, easy kind of wholesomeness, and it also covers other kind of wholesomeness, which is becoming higher and higher stage by stage. So one should be doing wholesomeness from the very easy one, and one should do it till high and noble wholesomeness. In order to get the special kind of happiness and well-being, one should be free One should be devoid of any pollutants. So only if one is devoid of pollutants, then will there be happiness and well-being. So one should be devoid of this pollutant. One should be away from the pollutants. So Jaraji gives an example. If you feel some kind of nausea, one will only be relieved if one vomits. So in the same way, one should be vomiting the cause of suffering. So one should let go of the unwholesomeness, one should let go, one should vomit, one should abandon, one should make void of these unwholesomeness. So this is the word, these are the words that Buddha used. To let go, to vomit, to abandon, and to make void. So Buddha gave way how to let go, how to vomit, how to be devoid of these unwholesomeness. So in order, people who do not want suffering but who are seeking for happiness and well-being, Buddha showed what is the cause in order to get these special kind of happiness and well-being. And Buddha used a word, Punya Kriya Vattu. Vattu means the cause where the special kind of happiness is situated. So here it is mentioned as Sukha Visesa, which means a special kind of happiness and well-being. So it doesn't mean ordinary kind or casual kind of happiness or well-being, but it is most special and precious kind of well-being. So it is not like the kind of happiness one gets from ordinary kind of pleasure or ordinary kind of social or worldly pleasure. The other kind of worldly pleasure, it is fatal and dangerous. So if a kind of pleasure is fatal and dangerous, it means that it is not genuine kind of happiness. But what Buddha is teaching is the real kind of happiness. So Vattu is the cause where all the genuine happinesses are situated. So that's why it is used as Vattu. So when this cause is present, then all these happinesses, all these genuine happiness will gather and will arise. So if it is the cause of the happiness, then it is something that is a must. It is something that one must do. One must definitely do. So it means that you should do it not only when you get the chance, but it is a must that you should do. So it is said that avasan katavan, it means it is a must. One should definitely do it. So because it is the cause in order to get the happiness, in order to get happiness. So what should be done is that one should follow the definite guidance in order to get the genuine welfare. So these wholesome deeds are the ones which one should definitely do. That's why it is called Kriya Vattu, because Kriya means one things that should be definitely done. So when it is said that one should definitely do it, it means that these things are not pollutants or not impure. One should not do the evil conduct. One should not do misbehavior by body, speech and mind. So all these misbehavior by body, speech and mind should definitely be abandoned. So in place of this misbehavior, in place of this misconduct, one should be performing good conduct by body, speech and mind. So one should be courageous to do good deeds in place of the bad deeds. So these good deeds, wholesome deeds, are things that one should definitely do, one must definitely do, because these are the cause for the happiness and well-being to arise. So, because these are the things which must definitely be done, that's why it is called Kariya. So it is not the kind of refraining, it is the kind of thing one should follow and perform. So the things that should definitely be done are things that are pure and clean, so that one should definitely do it. So one should definitely do these wholesomeness which are very pure and clean. So in Pali it is called punya, and this punya is translated in Burmese as just wholesomeness. But actually there is a hidden meaning in this word punya. So this punya will be understood by the people who also have theory and practice, who has a good foundation of theory and practice, and especially the ones who are practicing Satipatthana meditation will realize that their minds are pure, clean, away from the defilements and pollutants. So when the mind is pure and clean, away from the defilements, one is said to be discarding the pollutants. One is discarding, vomiting, or making void of these pollutants, so that the mind is pure and clean. So it is very satisfying to see the mind pure and clean by discarding, vomiting the pollutants. So punya means the kind of mind, the kind of state that purifies the mind. So this action of purifying the mind is something one should definitely do. So if you do it to an extent, to a completely extent, then one will be getting one will be getting happiness and well-being. As much you do it, the more happiness and well-being one will have. So that's why this punya, kriya vatu, is the kind of wholesomeness which is the cause for getting the happiness and well-being. So by doing this, it is the cause. By doing the cause, there is going to be the result. And the result is you will get the benefit of having happiness and well-being. So the more you do it, the more you will have. So in order to get this kind of wholesomeness, one should be practicing respectfully, meticulously, thoroughly. So whatever arises, one should note them respectfully, meticulously, and thoroughly. So in order to note thus, one should put effort, and one should have sustained mindfulness, so that the noting mind will fall calm and collected on the object. So one should aim the noting mind towards the object, and one should put effort. So as the yogi practices on with effort and aiming, then one's mind will be calm and collected, and one will come to know the true nature. So putting effort, one should initiate what has not arisen before, and one should make it increase and develop. In order to do that, one should put effort continuously, so that one will be developing viriya, sati, samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. So when you aim the mind towards the object, and when the noting mind comes face to face or direct with the object, one will come to know the true nature. So one should develop the mind and the knowledge, so that it will become from small to big, from tender to matured, from less to many. So one should cultivate in oneself this wholesome mind. One should cultivate this wholesome mind again and again. So one should repeatedly cultivate wholesome mind in oneself, so that one's mind will be pure, clean. So if one is able to note continuously without any depth, you can imagine how your mind will be. It will be very pure and clean. So it is just like the word punya, because the mind is pure and clean. So it is just like the word punya. And because it is something that should be done, that is a must, definitely one should do it. That's why it is called kriya. And when the yogi gets to the stage where she experiences a good experience in the practice, a springy feeling as if the body is levitating, then she is experiencing the kind of Dhamma pleasure which excels so many times than the worldly pleasure. So she will get this Dhamma pleasure at the stage of Uddiyabhaya Jnana. So at this stage of Uddiyabhaya Jnana, both the mind and the knowledge become developed to very amazingly. So at this stage, there will be unrelinquishable happiness, the kind of happiness and pleasure that excels so many times than the worldly pleasure, the sensual pleasure. So one should cultivate this bhavana mind over and over again, and when you can cultivate and develop this bhavana citta, then the mind will be pure, clean, and it is a very special kind of happiness and pleasure. So the meaning of punya kriya vattu will be understood for those who practice Satipatthana meditation properly according to the guidance given. So she will understand the meaning of this punya kriya vattu from what she experiences through the practice. So it is said, it is just like the word swakata, which means that the actual work and the benefit one gets by working systematically. So the work and the benefit are just very fit. In order to be able to note the presently arising objects such as rising and falling of the abdomen, one should put effort all the time, and one should push the mind towards the object so that the noting mind will get to the object of meditation. So, putting effort in the practice, there will not be sluggishness, there will not be exhaustion, not wanting to put effort, or laziness. So by putting effort, one is said to be overcoming this Thina-middha. As much effort one puts, then one is discarding, vomiting, abandoning, making void the Thina-middha, sloth and torpor, and his or her mind will be pure and clean. By having sustained mindfulness, there will not be negligence, there will not be failure. So by having sustained mindfulness, this negligence and failure will be abandoned and becoming void. So when the noting mind falls calm and collected on the object, the mind will not scatter, there will not be distraction, and there will not be remorse. So in this way, by having calm and collected mind, one is said to be discarding, vomiting, abandoning, making void the distraction and remorse. So when the noting mind is aimed towards the object, the mind does not slip away from the object, the mind does not get deviated away from the object, but the mind will be face to face or direct with the object. So when the noting mind is face to face or direct with the object, there will not be wish to kill or torture others. There will not be taking advantage of others with envy and jealousy. So in this way, one is overcoming these wrongful thoughts. When the mind is direct or face to face with the object, and the mind will not slip away from the object. So when the noting mind is direct or face to face with the object, one will develop knowledge, and by developing knowledge, the delusion or ignorance will be overcome. So developing knowledge, one will be abandoning or making void of the delusion and ignorance. So in this way, there will be mocana. Mocana means being free. So there will be many moments of being free from these unwholesome states of mind. So if you are practicing continuously for 1 minute, there will be 60 times mocana. And if you calculate 1 moment per 2 seconds, then there will be 30 times of mocana. And if you continue to be mindful for 5 minutes continuously, for 10 minutes continuously, there will be many moments of mocana. So if one is mindful in whatever posture one is in, walking, standing, sitting, lying, whatever posture one is in, apart from sleeping hours, there will be many moments of mojana. So you can imagine if you can have sustained mindfulness on the object, how pure and clean the mind is. So this is something that is a must to do. One should definitely do it because it is the cause to gain happiness and well-being. So the meaning of this Punya Kriya Vatu will be very obvious to those who really put into practice so that his or her mind become pure and clean. So that's why it is said that the actual work and the benefit by doing this work is very fitting. So that's why in the text it is explained Atano Teta Sandana Puneti Sodetiti Punya. It means Punya is the wholesomeness that makes the mind pure, clean and beautiful. So Punya is the kind of wholesomeness that makes the mind pure, clean and beautiful. And in other words, Punya has another meaning. This Punya can fulfill the wish of the person whoever performs the wholesomeness. So that's why it is said, Atano Karatasa Manoratham Puneti Purentiti Punyani, which means this Punya, wholesome deeds, are the ones which make the doer or performer's wishes to be fulfilled. So Punya can fulfill the wishes of the person whoever performs these wholesomeness. So everybody likes happiness and well-being, but it is not just enough to like them, but one should perform wholesomeness such as dana, sila. So if one wants to become a humane person, one should fulfill sila. But if one wants to have a humane mind, one should practice samadhi, concentration. If one wants to become an extraordinary person, one should practice panya, one should practice wisdom. So by practicing this wholesomeness of dana, sila and bhavana, these wholesomeness will make one's own wishes become fulfilled. So if you want to have human pleasure, you need to perform wholesomeness in order to get it. If you want to have deva pleasure, you need to perform wholesomeness. If you want to have jhana, you need to perform wholesomeness. If you want to attain nibbana, if you want to become a Ariya, noble person, or if you want to become a Pacceka Buddha, whatever that you want to be, you need to perform wholesomeness in order to make your wish fulfilled. So that's why these wholesomeness are the things which you must definitely do so that you will gain or you will fulfill your own wish so that it will become punya, the thing that will purify, make your mind beautiful, the deed that will fulfill your wish so that your mind will be pure, clean, and also you will be gaining happiness. So this will be all for today. Saraji will continue to explain in his next Dhamma talk.